How's it going, guys? I got a 4th Gen OU match today. Just before I start getting into the commentary, I got a quick question. Would anybody here be vehemently opposed to me uploading something other than Pokemon on my channel, provided that Pokemon will always be my main source of content and it's not going to overlap anyway? Not really sure if I'm going to do it, but I just wanted to get an opinion because I was thinking about it. But anyway, as far as the battle itself goes, I'm leading off with a Starmie. He's going with an Azelf. Possible opposing sets include Scarf, Band, Life Orb, Colbur, and Standard Sash. Best overall option is just going to be to go for a Hydro Pump right away. Turns out he actually is running a Sash, and one really cool thing you can do is go for Rapid Spin to break Azelf's Sash and also clear away Stealth Rock. But I'm actually just going to make the safe move and go to Gengar on the predicted Explosion this time, because I don't really want to risk the speed tie considering how useful Starmie is in this metagame. So he's going to go into his Scizor as I sent out my Gengar. And I was definitely scared of the pursuit there because I hadn't gotten up a sub yet, so I couldn't really scout what his switch-in was. But he is going to go into the U-turn instead, predicting the switch. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get up Stealth Rock yet because he's putting in a lot of offensive pressure on me. So he goes into the Infernape, and I switch to Suicune, predicting either the U-turn or maybe an Overheat, trying to hit my Gengar. Also could have lived a close combat in case I mispredicted. Then I just could have switched to Gengar the next turn to finish it off with Shadow Ball, hopefully. But he's going to send in a Gengar of his own, and I can't really deal with it that well with Suicune because some Gengar have actually been running Thunderbolt, and I don't deal too well with the sub-split set anyway. So I'm going to go into Scarf Jirachi, and I thought he would definitely know it was Scarf because of how it didn't have leftovers. So I went to Heatran, predicting the switch to Scizor as he tried to switch into a possible choice to Iron Head. But he actually just goes for a sub for some reason. So not really a good move on his part, but it kind of messes me up because I ended up switching to Heatran. So I'm going to have to go back into Jirachi, and he does miss the Focus Blast, which is kind of convenient for me. I was hoping I could maybe survive this because Jirachi is still reasonably bulky without any investment, but I can't because he just finishes me off with a Shadow Ball. So I'm going to go into Starmie at this turn because it's going to make for a pretty reliable check. Don't really have anything else that outspeeds Gengar at this point. And I'm just going to go for an Ice Beam in case he has an unrevealed Grass type that he might want to switch in. And because I definitely don't want to risk missing a Hydro Pump at this stage of the match, so he's going to go into Scizor again. I definitely thought he might go for a Pursuit again this time, but he's just going to be spamming U-turn. Definitely can't finish him off with Hydro Pump from Starmie because it's definitely not going to be enough to one-hit KO. Doesn't even KO after Stealth Rock, so definitely not going to be able to right now. Going to go into Heatran again just to take the U-turn. He's going to go out into his Infernape, and I actually am just going to go to Gengar this turn on the predicted close combat. But he actually reveals himself to be a Swords Dance set. It's a pretty underrated Infernape set that actually does pretty well against Stall especially. So I'm just going to set up a sub on this turn on the possible Scizor switch-in. It's also going to let me get a little bit of Flare Blitz recoil damage on him to increase my odds of KOing with Shadow Ball. Thought about going for a second sub here just in case he wanted to switch out to Scizor, but I end up just going for the safe Shadow Ball, and he actually just stays in. I actually do have a chance at one-hit KOing after that damage from earlier, so that's a little bit on the lower end of the damage roll, and he does unfortunately KO me with Flare Blitz now, but at least his Infernape goes down, so I won't have to deal with it later. Gonna go to Heatran on this turn just in case he goes to Scizor trying to U-turn out and get some more momentum going. Definitely going to turn out to be the wrong switch-in for me though because he reveals a Rhyperior. So I definitely think that this is probably going to be a Rock Polish set because it's one of the more viable sets when it comes to OU. Either that or Subperior, but I'm thinking that Rock Polish is probably going to be a little bit more threatening for me. So anyway, I am going to set up Stealth Rock because not really much I can do to his Rhyperior. I guess I could go for Earth Power, but I have other ways of dealing with it. And that Stealth Rock is going to be pretty important for getting the guaranteed HP Fire KO on Shaman against his Scizor. So usually this thing is going to have Mega Horn, so Shaman's not really going to be a good switch-in. Right now I'm down to Starmie, Suicune, and Shaman, and pretty much Suicune is the only one that's bulky enough to take one of his attacks in one-hit KO back, so that's the reason I sent it in. And I am going to be able to live that Earthquake, even boosted by the Life Orb, and just one-hit KO him with Hydro Pump, so really glad that I didn't miss that as well. Not really any hacks that occurred in this match, so I'm pretty glad for that. Usually a lot of the good matches won't have any hacks. So he's going to reveal his last Pokemon at this point, and it actually turns out to be a Magnezone. Pretty good for me because I'm out of Steel types, and the rest of my Pokemon can deal with Magnezone pretty well. Not really much I want to do at this point except sack Suicune. And I can also kind of scout whatever his set he's running. If he's running a Scarf, then it could be a little bit harder to deal with, but still manageable. But he has leftovers, so this is going to be just that standard set with Substitute. And I'm just going to go into Shaman at this point because I'm going to be able to outspeed his Magnezone. And it might be a little bit tempting to go for the Earth Power just because it's quad effective. But HP Fire is going to be enough to KO Magnezone anyway, and it's the better option overall for his Scizor. I mean, I don't really think he would switch into it, but it's going to hit both of his remaining Pokemon harder, so it's going to be the better option. He's going to go into Scizor at this point, and he's just going to go for that Bullet Punch because he realizes that it is HP Fire. But even without any HP investment, base 100 HP Pokemon like Shaman, they're pretty defensive, so that Bullet Punch is only going to do around 50% really, according to damage calcs. So that's going to end this match 2-0. So yeah, pretty good match. See you guys all later.